Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Potential record heat is on the way by Friday. I'll show you how high the temperature climbs, plus an update on the tropics coming up.
And we're live from Pinehurst this morning, where we're just one day away from the start of the U.S. Open. The last round for golfers to get their practice in, and we're also looking at the heat, how it will affect their play and the fan experience.
Thousands of families may soon lose childcare in North Carolina. The push happening today for funding as COVID-era programs are about to run out. Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. A lot to tell you about on this Wednesday, what we will call Transition Day, as we start turning up the heat and humidity. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Lovingood. Yeah, the heat, that's really our big story today, just because we obviously have a lot of events going on this weekend. Also, the U.S. Open down in Pinehurst. Amy Wilmoth has been tracking what we can expect condition-wise today and throughout the weekend.
You know, they had some really great weather for the practice rounds, but as soon as the tournament gets underway, that's when the big heat arrives tomorrow with highs in the 90s. A live look at Chapel Hill, this view from Top of the Hill restaurant. It's a pretty start to the day. It's nice and comfortable this morning. We're in the 50s and 60s. We've jumped up a degree in the Triangle, 67 in Raleigh and Durham, at 64 in Fayetteville. Hour by hour today, the weather stays pretty quiet, mostly sunny this morning, and pretty comfortable temperatures through 11 a.m. And then we're in the 80s by noon. We'll climb up to around 88, which is our normal high this time of year, pretty close to it, the normal 87. 92 Thursday, perhaps record highs Friday, just shy of that maybe, 96 for the high, and it will feel like 100, 91 on Saturday, and then 89 on Sunday. Also watching the tropics coming up in just a little bit. I'll show you the latest model trends. It will move away from the coast, but I'll show you the potential impacts coming up.
All right, 6:01, Amy. We continue to monitor some heavy traffic that's been building really between Buck Jones Road and Highway 54 all morning long. We're hearing from our friends at Waze that there's been some type of police activity in that area, but we're not seeing any problems in terms of a crash. But once you get past that area around Buck Jones Road and Highway 54, this is what you can expect. I-40 and Wade Avenue, traffic flowing smoothly in both directions.
Smoothly is good. Thanks, Ken. The start of the U.S. Open is just over 24 hours away, and golfers and fans will be facing one of the hottest tournaments ever. Talking about the temperature. WRAL's Laura Levine is at Pinehurst number 2 this morning. Laura, it is going to be such a challenge for everyone to stay cool.
It certainly will. Good morning, Chris. Right now, we are here at the practice area where you can already begin to see some golfers coming out, getting their final round of practice in before the U.S. Open begins. And along with all the excitement comes awareness about the dangers of an expected heat wave to take shape. Today, we will begin to see temperatures rise, but by Friday, we could see record-breaking heat for the U.S. Open with the heat index at 100. This will have an impact on these professional golfers who will be exerting a lot of energy and doing physical activity during the hottest parts of the day. Fan safety is also top of mind for the USGA, which is why they've provided hydration stations throughout the property, and guests can bring 32-ounce or smaller bottles to refill. We asked Tiger Woods if the heat will hurt his play this weekend.
I mean, hot and humid is what we deal with every single day in Florida, so that's nothing new. It's the amount of just making sure that I keep up hydrated, and the mental tax that the heat will bring, it's going to bring it to all of us, not just me. Everyone's going to be tested, and it's going to make for a long rounds.
So get this, the hottest it has ever been for the U.S. Open here in Pinehurst is 90 degrees. If you were here back in 2014, the last time Pinehurst hosted things, well, it was pretty hot, right? Well, on Friday, we are expected to break that record. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Pinehurst.
And just in case you forgot, I know you didn't, WRAL is your home for the U.S. Open as it returns to the Sandhills. Our team will have complete coverage on your phone, your tablet, and your TV. And once the first round gets off tomorrow, Jeff Hogan and Gerald Owens will lead our coverage live from Pinehurst. And of course, be sure to tune in to WRAL for all the action from the first tee to the 18th green. WRAL is your home all weekend long, beginning on Friday with second round action through the final round Sunday.
Families across the state could lose child care at the end of the month. That's when COVID-era funding runs out, and it could force hundreds of child care centers to close. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at the state legislative building in Raleigh. And Kelsey, business owners and faith leaders want state lawmakers to help.
Renee, that's right. There are two different groups that will be calling on state lawmakers today to fund childcare. This comes as thousands of parents could soon be left without options to care for their kids. Childcare workers in the Triangle held rallies about this issue in recent months. Groups are requesting state dollars because federal funding is about to run out. A survey shows 29% of childcare providers expect to close without those federal dollars, leaving nearly 92,000 kids without a slot. The North Carolina Chamber and the NC Poor People's Campaign are pushing for funding today. They're concerned that some parents may be forced to quit working or cut their hours if they lose childcare. The Chamber's rally is scheduled for this morning at 9:30, and that second event is scheduled for 11 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The Spring Lake Fire Department confirms a firefighter was hurt while trying to put out a fire in Cumberland County. This happened at an apartment complex fire. Now, it happened yesterday at the Brooks on 1166. That's in Spring Lake, and investigators say it started on the third floor balcony and spread throughout the building. The department says one firefighter was taken to the hospital with injuries to their head, but it is unclear what started this fire.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris will be in North Carolina. She will be in Charlotte today as part of her nationwide economic opportunity tour. Governor Cooper will join her during her visit. This is the vice president's 5th visit to our state this year.
Pro-Palestinian protesters are pushing forward with their call for an end to the conflict in the Middle East. They stood together at Moore Square in Raleigh last night and chanted and urged government leaders to persuade Israel to stop its attacks. This week, the UN Security Council adopted a ceasefire resolution to end Israel-Hamas's war in Gaza. Now, one protester told WRAL the resolution gives him little hope, though, that this will stop the fighting.
Not really, because it's been proposed so many times and it's been declined so many times, so it's not something I'm hopeful about.
The group plans to continue to hold protests and boycotts as the unrest continues.
Today, the man accused of killing Moore County woman Alicia Watts is due back in court. James Dunmore is in jail on $1 million bond as he awaits trial. Dunmore is accused of killing his girlfriend, Alicia Watts, last year. Family and friends of Watts plan to gather for a vigil outside the courthouse. People who live in the Franklin County community of Lake Royale are calling for a change in leadership after their board of directors publicly fired their interim police chief. Dozens of people gathered for a protest in the community last night. This comes a day after interim chief Gabe Fanera was fired as the community's annual junior police camp was beginning. The police department says the board accused Fanera of insubordination. It also says the board wants to dismantle the department.
A vote on holding U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt may happen today at the U.S. Capitol. The House Rules Committee passed a resolution yesterday to set up a floor vote. House Republicans want Garland to be held in contempt for refusing to turn over audio recordings of President Joe Biden. These are his interviews with former special counsel Robert Hur. Biden asserted executive privilege over these files, but Hur's interviews were part of the investigation into Biden's handling of classified documents.
Today, we will get two big indicators of where the economy is heading. The Consumer Price Index report will be released at 8:30 this morning. It's a measure of what we pay for goods and services. It is forecast to show just a 0.1% increase from April. This afternoon, the Federal Reserve will announce its decision on interest rates. It's expected to hold them steady this month. The Fed will also share how it plans to address rates for the rest of the year.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center as we await those reports coming out today. Taking a look at stock futures right now, all in the positive. The S&P 500 up 5 points, the Dow Jones up 27, and NASDAQ up 23 points. But they say the impact of today could be huge. They're calling today one of the most important days of the year for economic news. We will keep an eye on these stock futures for you here in the Live Center.
Yeah, it's a big day for investors. Thank you, Michelle. After 14 years in business, a downtown Durham coffee shop is closing its doors. The owner of BU Cafe made the announcement yesterday on social media. The Post said changing dynamics, including high parking rates, construction, and remote work, have caused a drop in activity at its Durham location. The shop's last day in business will be June 19th. BU's other locations won't be affected, though.
Construction on a new affordable housing community in Raleigh is officially underway. A groundbreaking ceremony took place for a new community on New Bern Avenue. It is just off the Beltline in Raleigh. Once completed, new burn crossings will have 192 units. 40 will be set aside for people at risk of homelessness. Construction should be finished in 18 to 24 months.
Today, local school bus drivers are competing for a chance to represent North Carolina. That would be at the International Driving Competition in Texas. That's why 30 school bus drivers from across the state will compete in the North Carolina Bus Rodeo. That's happening this morning at the state fairgrounds. They'll show off their knowledge of the laws and regulations, pre-trip school bus inspections, and their driving skills too.
You'll want to hear this. An Arizona man describes the moments after he fell 50 feet off a cliff in Switzerland.
What it is and kind of said some goodbyes at that point. I didn't know if I was going to make it out.
His amazing story of survival after one wrong step sent him over the edge.
Plus, big changes are coming to downtown Raleigh. How a new location for the Red Hat Amphitheater could affect your drive through the city.
And a big ridge of high pressure could bring us some record heat by the time we get to Friday. Plus, this system could become a tropical depression. I'll show you where it's headed coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Welcome back and good morning. I'm meteorologist Amy Wilmoth in for Elizabeth this morning. Feels pretty good outside, a little bit more muggy, but overall pretty comfortable. 67 in Durham, a little bit of cloud cover there. A little bit of cloud cover in Fayetteville, 64. And this is a look from our Raleigh sky cam at some pretty clouds as the sun rises. It's 67 right now in Raleigh. The humidity is a little bit higher today. The dew point is at 60. It puts us in the humid category. We'll probably stay in that category throughout the day today, and then it will climb even more as we head into tomorrow. The bus ride this morning, it's the last day of school for a lot of kids. It'll be in the upper 60s. It'll be pretty nice, mostly sunny, just a little bit humid. It is going to be very warm today, even hot in some spots. Down in our southern counties, high temperatures will climb into the low 90s.
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Just one crash to report right now near downtown and MLK Boulevard near Garner Road. Not affecting your morning commute this morning. We do want to update the situation that we've been monitoring this morning. Those westbound lanes of I-40 between Buck Jones Road and Highway 54. We found out that it was overnight construction that's now cleared, and you can see traffic is flowing nicely in both directions there. This is a live look now at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. Traffic is picking up, but moving at a steady clip.
Today marks 30 years since the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Brown Simpson, the ex-wife of O.J. Simpson, and Goldman were both found stabbed to death on June 12, 1994, outside her home in Los Angeles. The murders led to what was called the trial of the century. Simpson was charged and tried for the murders and found not guilty. He was eventually found liable in a civil suit. O.J. Simpson died in April after a battle with cancer.
The FBI recently released 475 pages in that case. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon is asking a federal appeals court to delay his prison sentence. Bannon is expected to report to prison on July 1st to serve 4 months. Bannon failed to provide documents and testimony to the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th U.S. Capitol attack. He asked the court to rule on his request by next Tuesday, but he plans to go to the Supreme Court if necessary.
City leaders are examining the future of major entertainment venues in Raleigh. City Council talked about the relocation of Red Hat Amphitheater during a work session last night. The venue needs to move to make way for an expansion of the Raleigh Convention Center. The Red Hat would be rebuilt a block away from its current location. That would result in South Street being closed at Dawson and McDowell. City leaders raised concerns about the impact of that closure.
We're really working with all of our partners in the area to figure out how we can preserve bike, pedestrian access with or without the closure.
A groundbreaking for the new Red Hat Amphitheater could happen by early next year.
A man from Arizona survived after falling nearly 50 feet off a cliff in Switzerland. 25-year-old Logan Moore was taking a video while on a hike. Well, a wrong step on a slippery rock caused him to fall over the edge of a cliff. He plummeted 25 feet and hit a rock wall that knocked him out. Moore then fell another 25 feet into a crevice headfirst and became stuck at the bottom. He eventually regained consciousness as he awaited for a rescue team to save him.
I accepted what it is and kind of said some goodbyes at that point. I didn't know if I was going to make it out. But then once I heard my cousin's voice and my friends overhead, I knew that they weren't going to go anywhere until I was freed.
Oof, big man upstairs looking out for you, my friend. Within 20 minutes, there was a helicopter above him. Rescue crews were able to put a harness around Moore and then slowly pull him up. He's now back home in Arizona recovering.
This morning, we're getting an exclusive look behind the scenes of the ancient city of Pompeii. The entire city was frozen in time after being buried in rock and ash during a volcanic eruption. That was nearly 2,000 years ago. Now, an archaeological dig has uncovered countless artifacts. The new finds are helping teams understand how the people of Pompeii lived. The exclusive inside look happens this morning on Today. That starts at 7. Right here on WRAL after our news.
So we've been talking this morning about how the heat definitely is a big story today, but also we want to make sure not to forget the tropics. That's something that Amy is watching closely.
Right, we could have a tropical depression develop over the next couple of days or so. It has a 20% chance of development. It's certainly something we're watching. It is going to move away from the North Carolina coast. A cold front arrives here locally over Friday night into Saturday morning, and that's going to help push that system away from us. But we still have the potential for some dangerous surf and rip currents along the North Carolina coast over the weekend. This is a look at the latest model plots, and again, it takes it away from the North Carolina coast, which is certainly some good news. For today, for the rip current risk, there's a moderate risk for our southern beaches. I would expect that most of the coast would have moderate to high risk as we head into the upcoming weekend. So just be careful if you're headed to the North Carolina coast this weekend. This is a pretty bleak picture. Rain chances, there's nothing in the next 7 days. We do not expect any measurable rain for quite some time. So drought conditions are probably going to worsen as we progress into the next few weeks. A look at the potential rainfall for the next 7 days, maybe some rain in the North Carolina mountains, but really just nothing measurable here at home. Despite the cold front moving through, it just has no moisture to work with, so it'll move through dry. And looking ahead to next week, so June 17th through the 21st, below normal rainfall expected. So we might not have measurable rainfall until the end of the month, maybe around June 25th or so. So just keep watering the gardens, keep watering the yards. It is going to be dry for a while. A beautiful picture here in Sanford in Lee County as the sun rises. A lot of sunshine this morning. Temperatures are still comfortable in the 50s and 60s. It's 59 in South Hill, 66 in sunny in Clinton, 64 right now in Smithfield. The humidity up just a little bit today, but it's not that bad. We'll be in the 70s by 9 a.m. At lunchtime, we're at 83. The high gets up to 88, and that is on track for normal, just a little bit above normal. This is a Pinehurst-specific forecast. The U.S. Open starts tomorrow. It's going to be hot. 92 for the high tomorrow. 97 perhaps in Pinehurst on Friday with the heat index around 100. 92 Saturday and then 90 on Sunday. So the heat backs off a little bit over the weekend thanks to that cold front that moves through. That's for Pinehurst. Temperatures will be in the 90s for pretty much everyone Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For Father's Day, it's a little cooler, upper 80s in the Triangle, but we're back in the 90s by Monday, Ken.
All right, Amy, right now all our major routes are delay-free this morning. We are monitoring a crash really that happened in the last hour or so near downtown and MLK Boulevard in the eastbound lanes near Garner Road. It's not causing any delay in your commute this morning. I know many of you work in the downtown area. Not to worry about, though. You should get to work on time in that area. Here's a live look at I-40 and Wade Avenue. If this is part of your morning commute, you got smooth sailing ahead of you this morning.
Ken, thank you. Police say people are breaking car windows in neighborhoods on purpose. Their search for who is smashing the windows with rocks. And a beef over sponsorship is getting competitive eating's biggest star off its biggest stage. Reaction to Joey Chestnut's ban from the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest coming up in What's Trending. First, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Oh boy, scandalous. The Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest keeping its biggest star off the stage.
Say what? Ken Smith joining us now with what's trending.
Yeah, not sure I can stomach this one. But anyway, event organizers say they won't allow Joey Chestnut to compete this year because he signed a sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods. That's a competitor to Nathan's. Chestnut has won 16 of the last 17 Nathan's hot dog eating contests, including the last 8 in a row.
He is synonymous with these hot dog eating contests. He's a staple on July 4th. Who are we going to talk about? I guess there'll be a new winner in this at some point.
I predict there's going to be a lower viewership. If I'm being honest, I mean, people tune in to see Joey Chestnut. I'm just saying.
Inquiring minds want to know. But how about this? The Florida Panthers' biggest fan rooting them on to the Stanley Cup may be pop star Ariana Grande. She's been in the arena for the final series, and she's been a fan all her life. The NHL sharing these pictures of Grande with the mascot during Game 2. There you see her on the left when she was just a wee little girl, and of course on the right when she's a big superstar. So how about that for Ariana Grande?
Now, if the Panthers win, I've already thought about this. The perfect PR opportunity for her, because she's got that song, The Boy Is Mine. Just take a picture with the Stanley Cup and say, the boy is mine. But they have to win, though. That's the key. They have to win first.
And they're looking good on the ice.
Thanks, Ken. Downtown Raleigh will have plenty of fun and games for you and your family to enjoy this weekend. The Raleigh Retro Gamers Summer Expo, that is happening at Moore Square from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. You're looking at video from a previous event. Food trucks, games, and live music will be available for your family to enjoy. We're talking also more than 80 vendors for you to buy some nerdy stuff. Plus, I'll be there emceeing a cosplay contest. The event organizers will also be taking donations virtually for Duke Children's Hospital.
And we are live in Pinehurst this morning. It's the last day for these professional golfers to get their practice in before the start of the U.S. Open. Just ahead at 6:30, how the heat will impact their play and the fan experience.
And it is going to be hot for the tournament. Temperatures will be in the 90s starting tomorrow, 92, and then 96 Friday. We are approaching record heat by the end of the week. But a cold front on the way brings a little bit of relief. I'll show you how hot it's going to feel coming up.
And while we face the heat, people in Florida are dealing with heavy rain and severe flooding. The danger people there are facing as a tropical disturbance churns off the coast.